Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Weiner, and I'm a sophomore from Palo Alto, California, studying finance and international relations in the Hudson program here at Penn. I'm also serving as this year's new student orientation co-chair for Hillel, which is a role responsible for welcoming incoming Jewish students and bringing them into the community.
And my name's Tyler Jonas. I'm also a sophomore from New York studying finance at Wharton, and I'm the other new student orientation co-chair for Hillel. And we're so excited to welcome you to this freshman town hall and introduce you to Penn Hillel.
For me, Penn Hillel has been my home away from home, and it's been one of the best parts of my Penn experience. There's so many warm and friendly faces at Hillel, and especially freshman year coming from a high school where I didn't know any other Penn students, Hillel provided me the space to meet amazing new friends and mentors.
And for me, Penn Hillel has been a supportive and welcoming community from the moment I arrived at Penn as well. I always look forward to Friday night services and dinners at Hillel. One of my favorite Penn Hillel traditions is when we go around the group and whoever wants to share says what they're thankful for with other Penn students. And even since COVID, we've been able to maintain this tradition in an online format. And I'm so lucky to be part of this incredibly vibrant community.
Although we can't be together in person this semester, we have an awesome NSO schedule planned for you guys starting on Monday, August 24th. We have everything from Zoom poker, trivia night, NBA playoff watch parties, magic shows, exercise classes, Zoom speed dating, and virtual lunches and dinners, among other fun activities for you guys to get to know each other and meet current students. I'm so excited to meet you guys virtually over the next 2 weeks and hopefully in person when we go back to campus.
And I just put the link for the Zoom, for the NSO schedule in the chat. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, you can sign up now. We have, like Ben said, a ton of awesome events we're really excited about. But last but not least, we want to introduce Rabbi Mike Urim, who is the Executive Director and Campus Rabbi at Penn Hillel. And just to give you some quick background, Rabbi Mike holds a BA from Washington University in St. Louis in rabbinic ordination from the Jewish Theological Seminary. And then in addition to his work on campus, Rabbi Mike speaks, teaches, and consults all over the country on the changing nature of American Judaism, Jewish innovation, cutting-edge engagement methodology, and how legacy organizations can reinvent themselves in the age of millennials. And we're so excited to introduce you to Rabbi Mike.
Thank you, Tyler and Ben. That is the first time my bio has ever been read at Penn Hillel. So thank you for embarrassing me. I couldn't get into Penn, so I went to Wash U. It was a good runner-up back then. Anyway, it's so great to see all of you and to welcome you. This is a slightly different conversation than we normally have at this time of the year. Normally, we get to do this all face-to-face, and it's about welcoming you to a building and to a space, and it feels really important to do that. And honestly, this feels even more important. That in a moment where it's not going to be as easy to connect in real life and with a handshake, the ability to get to know you and to connect you on campus, to make sure that you have friends, to make sure that you're happy, to make sure that you're connected to Judaism and to Jewish life is more important now than it's ever been. So this actually feels great. And we're just all going to have to work harder to make sure that freshman year is incredible and safe and fun. I want to give a couple shout outs and to let some folks just introduce themselves, just to say like, hi, real quick. So first of all, Ali Shapiro is one of the student presidents. The other student president is at a Penn wedding right now and couldn't be on the call. But Ali, do you want to just wave and say hello? Okay, I think you may have to say hi though. So
okay, amazing. Sorry, I didn't know if I was unmuted or not. Hi guys, I'm Ali. I'm one of the presidents of Penn Hillel, and I'm so excited for this semester, this year. It's going to be awesome. And yeah, my co-president's name is Cheryl. I'll just do a quick introduction for her. She's also a rising senior, and she's also incredible. And I know she's so excited to be like here and welcome you guys as well.
Great, thank you, Ali. And I'm going to quickly introduce other staff on the call so you can see their faces. What I'd love you to do is just unmute right now so you can say something in case people are on speaker view. This way you'll jump to the front. So Rachel Hollander, who I know is in transit, but can you say hi, Rachel?
Hi, everybody. So excited to meet you all.
In the car and not getting good internet right now, so she's only on voice. Ira Blum.
Hi, everybody. Ira Blum calling from a few blocks west of campus and super excited to see you all and welcome you.
Rabbi Mike Shapiro.
Hi, everyone. Coming to you from West Philly. Really excited to connect with all of you and hear your stories and hear what's going on with you.
Allison.
Hi, everyone. So many familiar faces on the call. So great to meet all of you. Excited to make your freshman year amazing.
Great. Sophie Strauss.
Hi, guys. Super excited to meet everyone. Can't wait to be reaching out to all of you guys and get to know you better.
So that all of those folks are called the Hillel core team. Those are like in the old days, the people who worked in the building. And then there was a separate group of staff who work outside of the building, bringing Jewish life, we would say, to students wherever you live, work, and play. So that was like in the dorms and the fraternities, off-campus houses. And the truth is, some of that is all now, that's everything we're doing online, but the other staff team, I don't know if Rabbi Gabe is on the calls. Gabe, are you on?
Hey, everyone. Nice to see you, Gabe.
There you are.
My kids are blasting Hamilton in the background, so I'll mute as soon as possible, but I'm excited to meet you. And I think it's going to be a great and interesting and great year.
Great. Alexa, will you say hi also?
Hi guys, I'm Alexa. Super excited to meet everybody.
Alexa is the person in charge of all things birthright related. So if we are going to be recruiting in the fall, if trips happen to go, she's the person to talk to. And also Sophie Maxman.
Hi everyone, ditto to everything everyone has already said.
Great, thank you. So if anyone ever feels like they need the ultimate person to take care of them, or a kind of surrogate mom, not to replace your real mom, but like is just there for you. So Joan Bobroff is the office manager and longest serving person at Penn Hillel. So Joan, will you say hi for a sec?
Hi everybody, my name is Joan. Welcome to Penn Hillel. Anybody needs anything, anybody wants to get stuff or has questions, just give me a call or email me, jbobroff@pennhillel.org.
Great. I want to ask, are the Kleins on the call? Is Rabbi Klein and Sarah on the call? So we have a new JLIC couple that's a partnership with Hillel and the Orthodox Union. They're amazing. I don't know if they're here tonight, but they will be around and live in West Philly. And I also want to introduce Melanie Kovac. So Mel, say hi.
Hi, I don't know why I waved. My name is Melanie. I'm the development associate. I'm very excited to see all your smiling faces.
Great. So there's one more person I'm going to introduce, but give me one sec before I introduce her. I just want to say again, it's great to see so many of you. Hillel is not your typical Hillel, and it's not your typical campus organization. There's a lot of both parents and students who think that Hillel is a club or it like replaces your synagogue, or it's only a place that you go. But even before COVID-19, Hillel saw its mission as much more nuanced and complicated than that. And basically what we thought is, and if you ask your parents or if you think about your friends who are already at college, that the 4 years that you are at school are among the most transformative and growth-oriented years of your life. In a lot of ways, it is the moment where you stop being just your parent kid and you really start to become yourself in an adult way. There's a fancy term for this, it's called self-authorship. The higher ed scholars talk about the 4 years of undergraduate work as a period of self-authorship. And this is what Hillel's mission really is Jewish self-authorship. We love for people to get involved and to have a club, and when COVID is over, to have a building to go to and to hang out at. But we see our mission as really helping each and every Jewish student grow into Jewish adulthood, and to provide the most stimulating, immersive, deep, personalized, customized, amazing set of Jewish experiences and relationships and opportunities to help push you into Jewish adulthood and to engage in a process of Jewish self-authorship. And Hillel, one of the most amazing things about it is that it is very hard to describe because we do so much. Literally everything you could think of as Jewish shows up somehow on the Hillel operating system. So that means dozens of different ways to do community service and to raise money for tzedakah, every type of prayer and spirituality experience you could want, ranging from conservative to Orthodox to Reform and to everything in between and outside of those boxes. There are dozens of different ways to get involved with Israel, unbelievable opportunities to learn about Judaism. If you ever felt like you only learned Judaism from one perspective, or you went to Hebrew school, but you actually never learned anything, and it would be nice to actually take a college level, adult, sophisticated approach to thinking about a Jewish question. There are those opportunities. There are social and cultural opportunities. You could just hear from some of what Ben and Tyler said about new student orientation. There's all sorts of social and cultural things as well. And obviously in this moment, a huge part of what Hillel is doing is making sure that each and every student feels taken care of and seen, and we're here for you. And that means both to make sure you're physically safe and that you're mentally safe, because this could be a bumpy year. And in general, freshman year is a year of the highest highs and the lowest lows. There's moments where it's so fun to be at college, and there's moments where it's so lonely and confusing to be at college. And Hillel wants to be there for you for all of those things. But also, if in this moment of COVID stuff, it is even more difficult, we want to be there for you. And that means to help make sure that you feel taken care of, to help make sure you're meeting other people, that if you get sick, whether it's a cold or the flu or, God forbid, COVID-19, we're there for you with chicken soup and a care package, and just making sure that you're not going through this alone at any time in the year. And I also think that, like, we're living in a world that's not just about Jewish stuff, right? There is a lot of stuff happening in our world around the election, around racial reconfiguring and racial justice. And this is an amazing opportunity for Hillel to also help connect you to the larger world at Penn. And there are programs we do with interfaith dialogue and Jews and Muslims learning Hebrew and Arabic, and working with students of color and Black students and Asian students and other minority students. There's just a limitless amount of opportunities. So in Hillel, sometimes we say our mission is to be universally human and distinctively Jewish. And that is also going to be a huge part of the work that we're doing this year. So before I tell you a little bit more specifics and a little bit more about what it's going to look like in this coming back to campus in a COVID world, or staying at home and logging on to Penn through Zoom and other devices, I want to introduce you quickly just to the final member of the team, which is Barry Epstein, who is the head of institutional advancement and also a Penn parent now a second time. So Barry, please take it away.
So hi everyone, I'm Barry Epstein. As Mike said, I'm the Director of Institutional Advancement, and not to sound like a hair club for men ad, but I'm not only a member of the staff at Penn Hillel, but I have a junior, and Lila is an incoming freshman. So a little bit about Penn Hillel. We are a separate organization from Penn that sits on Penn's campus. We get no funding from Penn. 90% of our funding is from alumni and parents like us, those of you that are on the call. I have been in the field for 30 years, and I have to say I am so continually impressed with the staff and students. As you can see, the NSO students have worked so hard. They are so forward-thinking in creating initiatives and community for every Jewish student on Penn's campus. As Mike said, since Penn decided to go virtual, there is going to be a gap in student life, and Penn Hillel is here for that, to fill that in that void. And again, like everyone else, I'm a mom, I'm on campus, and I am here to help. Be Epstein at pennhillel.org. I certainly hope you will join me in supporting Penn Hillel when the time comes, and I look forward to meeting you. And if you would sign up for the family newsletter, I know Mel will put that into the chat. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Barry. So let me just say a little bit. If normally at this point I give a whole spiel about all the different things that Penn Hillel does and different ways to get connected, but I think it feels like it's better to talk more about Penn in the age of COVID-19. It feels like the more apropos thing to talk about today. So I want to just describe a few things, and then we're going to open it up for questions and answers. And this is just the beginning of a conversation and the beginning of a year where the rules of engagement are going to keep changing, right? A week ago, we thought we'd be welcoming you to campus officially. And now, that has changed, and we're going to welcome some folks unofficially who might be coming to Philadelphia, not campus, but Philadelphia. and we're going to be welcoming tons of others who are staying home. And what I just want to say is that we're really lucky because Penn Hillel wasn't focused on how many people can we get in the building and how many quote unquote members do we have. There are no members to Penn Hillel, but because we weren't thinking that way, the thing that we say first and foremost is that Penn Hillel is all about relationships. The work that we do is fueled by relationships. And what that allows us to do is to pivot very quickly when campus went virtual all of a sudden, whether it was last March or whether it was a few days ago. And so we have a really complicated and changing plan for how to reach out and take care of each and every student that we can. And I want to just run through like 5 general categories, and then we'll open it up to questions. So first of all, if you are coming to campus, or if you're coming to Philadelphia and renting an apartment, living off campus, we are going to be pushing Jewish life out into West Philadelphia or Center City or University City, wherever it is that you're living. And instead of having mega gatherings in the building, like huge barbecues and Shabbat dinners and speakers and magicians and casino nights and things like that in the building, we're essentially going to deconstruct the Jewish community into the pods in which you're already living. So, and it's going to allow for a lot of flexibility. So if you are trying to be really careful and you're only staying with your direct roommates and you have an agreed upon set of rules, we will find ways to deliver care packages and goodie bags and Shabbat dinners and Rosh Hashanah dinners and break fast and all those kind of things so that you in your pod where you feel safe can do things. We know, we're not endorsing this, but we also know that there are going to be people who are much more flexible in their interpretations of how they connect with other people. And so if you're gathering with people, you know, in larger groups than just your immediate housemates, so within reason, 25 people or less, if you request Shabbat dinner for 25 people or less, we're going to assume you're being really safe and either deliver Shabbat dinner to you or have you be able to come pick it up at Hillel and take it back to wherever your pod is living. If you wanted to do some kind of organizing for community service or organizing to raise money for the kosher dining workers or do some small group learning with one of the rabbis or educators at Penn Hillel, you could also do that with your pod. It's not just Shabbat dinners and Rosh Hashanah dinners. It's kind of anything you could possibly imagine doing. We will try as much as we can, if you're living near campus, to support Jewish life that can happen both organically among friends and also trying to connect people to each other. So especially for freshmen, that you can continually be meeting more and more people who are like you, who could become potential friends. By the way, a core part of the work we do is introducing you to folks that are not like you. That's part of what's amazing about our college, is confronting difference and diversity of Jewish background, of cultural background, of political background, so that you can grow and make, I mean, it's one of the few times in your life where you have this amazing Penn thing in common, so you can connect in ways that's much harder to do in high school or kind of post-college life. And if you're not in West Philadelphia or University City, we are also going to try to push Jewish life out to you wherever you are. So again, it's going to be a little bit limited by geography, but if there are major clusters of Jewish Penn folks living in certain parts of the country, first of all, we may try to, if there are people who are willing to host things in their backyards or outside that are safe, well, again, whether it's Shabbat dinner or a freshman meetup or something like that, we will help coordinate and publicize and fund those things. And we will probably be pushing things out to you, even if you're not in a place where there's a huge number of Penn Jews who want to gather. And it might just be a series of care packages that you get throughout the year, but something in every creative way we can possibly think of to continually connect you in deeper and deeper ways to make you more and more part of the Penn family and the Penn Hillel family. So that's the kind of in-person version of this. In addition to these in-person things, there is going to be online stuff. There will be a huge amount of Zoom opportunities. You heard Ben and Tyler talk about some of the new student orientation opportunities. Throughout this whole year, Hillel staff and Hillel student leaders are going to reach out to freshmen. And, you know, again, no one loves being on Zoom more, but being on Zoom is better than not having friends. So what we will do is reach out to you. We'll have like a coffee chat without coffee over Zoom if you're long distance. If you're in Philadelphia, it could be over Zoom if that's what makes you feel more comfortable, or it could be a kind of socially distant in-person meetup if you're comfortable with that. And then what we'll do is try to figure out what you're interested in and who you should meet and what other freshmen could be great friends of yours. And then we will introduce you, sometimes in small online Zoom chats, sometimes, again, trying to connect you to in-person pod kind of things that are safe and appropriate for you. But there will be big, amazing speakers and entertaining cultural events and music events and probably a cappella shows that are all happening on Zoom that you can tune in for. And we'll be continually building better and better mechanisms for those big gatherings to also be a way to meet people. So like we'll design them with breakout groups so that you'll be broken out into a group of 4 or 5 other freshmen and you'll actually get to talk to them. And then again, you could continue that friendship either in person in a safe way or online, which is obviously safe. And there's also gonna be a ton of small group things. So we have all of these fellowships that meet. There's like, I don't know, maybe 300 students who are part of different fellowships. And in a Zoom world, it's gonna be more. And what that means is we bring together groups of 10 or 15 students who are interested in the same kind of thing, have a similar interest. Again, it could be learning about Judaism. It could be learning more about Israel. It could be engaging in interfaith dialogue. It could be learning from Penn experts about the election and about democracy. It's going to be everything you could possibly imagine. And what it will do is take the topic and some relationships that you have and put you in a group of 10 or 15 people where, again, you may be gathering on Zoom, but you're going to be able to build real friendships out of it that you can connect to in your local community, wherever you're living, if you're not in Philadelphia, or in real life in Philadelphia. So we see online both as like an end unto itself, and we see it as a means to making friends and connections in real life, again, wherever you happen to be, whether it's in Philadelphia or somewhere else around the country. So that's the second big category. The third is if you are sick or homesick, right? We are going to be there for you. So we're going to ask people really carefully. There's all sorts of surveys and form site things that are going up. They're posted in the chats where if you are coming to Philly, let us know. We want to know. We hear rumors that there's a whole bunch of people living on Chestnut Street. We want to know who you are, not so we can be creepy and stalk you, but so we're not sending care packages to West Virginia where your parents live, but we can actually send them to you in whatever apartment you're living in on Chestnut. And you can make sure that you get invited to these potted Shabbat dinners, so that you can host one for your friends, your roommates. And if you happen to get sick and be quarantined, we want to know that too. The university won't share that information because of HIPAA rules, but we want to make sure that we can reach out to you, that we can deliver chicken soup, that we can do whatever it is that's going to look. Being sick with anything at college stinks when you don't have a parent around or a family member around or a caretaker around to actually like bring you food. And no matter how good your friends are, college peers tend to stink a little bit at like making sure that you have enough Tylenol and food to feel good. But like, we're going to be there for you, and whatever it is, we'll be there. So please let us know. And you can see that Melanie posted some of those Google Doc things, like the surveys there. You just put your name and info in, and you can check boxes or fill out the information so we know exactly what's going on. That's number 3. The 4th and 5th things are just related to Jewish life, which I think a lot of these are just, my guess, are going to be a lot of questions. I want to hit on these things. So one is people are going to, I think, going to ask about what about services and what about high holidays? So generally speaking, every week there will be reform and conservative services online through Zoom. And whether you're in Philadelphia or around the world, whether you're a current student, a freshman, or honestly anybody else, you can tune into those services. And the same will go for high holidays. There will be both a reform option and a conservative option through Zoom for students, community members, parents, alumni, professors, the whole shebang. There may also be some smaller in-person gatherings, like again, if 15 people want to get together and go to a place called the Biopond and have a Friday night service where you're singing outside and socially distant and the weather's nice, Hillel certainly isn't going to stop that, and you will find out about it. And we'll make sure that if you're not in Philadelphia, that there's still a Zoom option for you, so that there's not a breakdown of kind of haves and have-nots between the people who decided to come to Philadelphia or could make it work logistically or financially versus the freshman who couldn't make it work to get here in person. So every Friday night, there'll be Reform and Conservative services on Zoom. For Orthodox students sorry, let me say one other thing. There are also usually other forms of Jewish life that will be happening as well. So there's a minyan called Shir Chadashah, which is called a partnership minyan that sees itself as Orthodox but egalitarian. So women count in the minyan and can lead certain part of the services. It's very focused on singing and spirituality. There's an amazing service that Rabbi Micah leads called Nariya, which is very transferable to Zoom and will be happening, it changes how regularly, but it could be once a month, it could be every other week. And based on student interest, all sorts of other things pop up throughout the year also. So it depends on this generation of student leaders, but there may be even additional services happening. For Orthodox students, it's a slightly different game because many Orthodox students are not going to want to log on to Zoom on Shabbat. So while there may be Orthodox options before Shabbat actually starts, for things during Shabbat, what we are going to offer and try to coordinate is to create small groups of Orthodox students who can engage in a minyan to gather outside and in a safe way. And depending on how many students are in Philadelphia, that may be all in one place outside and socially distant, or it might be broken up into a few different locations. That could be in front of Hillel, it could be behind Hillel, it could be in the backyard space of one of the apartments where a number of Orthodox students live. It could be a parking lot of a Jewish fraternity that we work out an arrangement with. In those circumstances, Hillel will be providing things to cover you from the sun and the rain, Torahs, security, and the like, to make sure that if there are groups of students gathering, again, outside in someone's backyard, and if they feel like they want security, we will provide the normal Penn Hillel security, which is Allied Barton guards. Any gathering that isn't a huge number of people, that's the security that we use. And the same thing will go for Orthodox students if they want to be part of a weekday minyan. We have a plan in the works to meet in front of Hillel for weekday minyanim, which tend to be smaller anyway, and we can imagine we'll be able to accommodate everyone in that scenario. The final thing I just want to say is people are asking a lot of questions about kosher food. So Hillel will be spending a huge amount of money on food in general, all of these Shabbat dinners and Rosh Hashanah dinners and breakfasts and everything else you could imagine. There will be kosher food options for this semester. The university runs the kosher dining hall at Penn Hillel in partnership with Penn Hillel, but they run it. And there will be probably some grab and go options, either from Hillel and kind of served outside of Hillel, or from one of the other dining halls around campus. But in addition to that, we imagine that there will be a lot of other kind of catered options that happen throughout the week. So again, if there are ways to do this that are safe and outdoors, so we can imagine there being picnics in the park, or barbecues, or things where you pick food up in front of Hillel and then sit on blankets that we provide around the lawn. Again, there can't be an official gathering on the lawn, but if people want to sit in a socially distant and safe way and have picnics with other freshmen or with just other students that they want to meet, we'll be arranging those things as well. And you just essentially have to sign up for the various Hillel listservs, which Melanie is going to post. That there's like a weekly email that goes out, that you have to follow the different things on social media, and you'll see when all these things are posted, or you'll be walking by and see it happening and you can just jump in. So there will be kosher food options. I think those are the main questions that people tend to be asking. And I think that you get a sense, again, whether it's in person in Philadelphia, in person around the country, online in Philadelphia, online around the country, whether it's religious, intellectual, political, social justice related, Israel related, interfaith related, I just want to have friends, I just want to feel like I can be at home somewhere related, we're going to be there doing it. And I want to say one last thing before we open up the questions. So if you have questions, please get ready. You can put them in the chat box, or I think you might be able to raise your hand and then we'll unmute you so you can ask verbally. But the other thing I want to say to you is the reason I introduced you to all of those staff and took all of that time on a Zoom call is to help make sure that you understand that one of the very best gifts you get at the University of Pennsylvania is Hillel staff spend the majority of their time doing one-on-one chats with students. And whether you need a friend or a mentor or an informal person who's not a therapist but can really just listen and be there for you through the ups and the downs without any judgment, that's what we do. And we often say that Penn Hillel staff are the safest relationship you can have at the University of Pennsylvania. We're not your parents, so we're not going to give you guilt about, did you go for Yom Kippur services? Like, Bubby would be so unhappy if you didn't go. We're not going to give you grief about changing your major from pre-med to poetry. We will give you amazing recommendations no matter what, so you don't have to impress us like you do faculty. There's zero competition. So there's a ton of staff you can see that are like kind of your age, a couple years older than you, right? They're just older than you enough that there's zero competition and they can just be there and support you no matter what. And there are rabbis and older, more mature educators like Ira and Rachel who are also there for you. So just, it's amazing that there are CAPS, like, counseling and pastoral, whatever CAP stands for, psychological services, I guess, on campus. And you can make an appointment, and Penn has a lot of those things. And if you don't want it to be that formal and you just need like a friend tour, we're also here for that. And by the way, there's zero guilt. One of our great things, we just don't believe in Jewish guilt or any other kind of guilt. So even if you don't come to Hillel, even if you're not involved in Hillel, even if you didn't write back to the email that I sent you in August, it doesn't matter. You can email us out of the blue in February and we'll be there for you. Just excited to connect and help in any way we can. So with all of that said, we're gonna start rolling out some of the questions. And I will just kind of read them or summarize them from the chat, and you can also follow along in the chat in case I'm missing pieces. So the first question is from Kayla. Will freshmen living in Philadelphia and likely without Penn cards be able to access the building? Thank you, Kayla. It's a really important question. So our plan all along was to push the limits of how open the building could be. There are other Hillels around the country that have been, said they were closed, and there's other student centers that were closed kind of, for months now already. They had announced that. Our plan was to push it and we actually installed a huge amount of safety equipment and like some machine that kills all bacteria and viruses from the air as it circulates through the building. I mean, like we did it. And yet now that Penn has come out with its new rules, there are limits to how much we can be kind of perpendicular to Penn's policies. So the building will not be open for programming or for hanging out. It will be open for like essential religious needs. If it's snowing and there needs to be a minyan, if it's raining or, like sideways and there needs to be a minyan, we'll go back to our old rules, which is no more than 25 people in a room. Everyone has to wear masks. Will be temperature checks at the front of the building. And again, this highly curated set of internal ways of disinfecting the building and making sure that the air is not spreading COVID-19. But sadly, that notion of Hillel being a physical home away from home, we're not going to be able to do it right now. But as long as the weather is nice, we're going to find ways to do it outside and socially distant. So there will be, I hope, a vibe where if it's like Thursday, afternoon, you want to grab lunch and you're not sure, you don't have plans with anyone, no one returned your text message, you can kind of walk over to Hillel and there will be people hanging out like on the lawn or staff hanging out where you can kind of like, have that cheers experience where there's, you can go somewhere where everyone will know your name, even though it won't be in a building. And we'll see as the year goes on, right? If there's really good testing and really good contact tracing protocols, or God willing, a vaccine, we are ready to immediately pivot. And even if it's not 100%, but if Penn starts to open up in certain ways towards the spring, we're ready to go and have all of the machinery and all of the tools that we need to do that safely. Will Penn try to connect kids who are living in the same cities outside of Pennsylvania? So yes, that's why it's really important for us to know where folks are. But if, again, this is something I feel a little bit some hesitation to say this to everybody, because I think if you, like, I don't know, I grew up in Cleveland. There aren't a huge number of people in Cleveland who are Penn people. And so I don't want anyone, if you're in Cleveland or Indianapolis or Kansas City, to feel left out of this, because we will be reaching out to you one-on-one and be introducing you to other people online. But yes, in places where there are large concentrations of Penn Jews, so again, stereotypically, we're talking about New York and the suburbs of New York and in New Jersey and Westchester and Long Island, parts of Chicago, parts of South Florida, parts of Los Angeles, and other places where there happen to be 5, 10, 15 people. We're going to reach out and we will fund Shabbat dinners or meetups if people are willing to host them in their backyards or a park or in a way that's safe. And again, I keep saying outside, because especially while the weather is okay, it is one of the things we know is that if you're outside, especially if you're wearing a mask, it really seems to be a safe way to gather, and if you're socially distant. So publicly, that's the only thing that we're talking about, but we're not going to be policing folks where if you'd rather be gathering in some other way, we just ask you really to be safe and to model that for everyone else. Again, Melanie just posted this form under the title of "Let us know where you'll be." So fill it out, let us know. We got a question from someone privately, so I won't say who it's from, but do you recommend first years attempt to live off campus in Philly? So I don't have advice about whether or not you should come and try to live off campus in Philly. I think I don't have a clear sense yet of what percentage, if you're worried about FOMO and you feel like you're going to miss out on some part of your freshman year, I don't know what percentage of students are going to be living in Philadelphia. And I think that there's going to be some real challenges around it. So this is a weird thing to say. Again, I would never say anything that wasn't attempting to be inspirational in a normal freshman gathering. But I want to be real about this, which is, it is going to be easier for people to rent an apartment and live in West Philadelphia, depending on where you're from, right? If you're a Jew who's international or who's farther away, it's going to be harder. If you're someone who is relying on university subsidizing your housing and your family doesn't have the kind of money to afford both tuition and what might become increasingly a price gouged apartment in West Philadelphia, it's going to be harder. And I do have to say that I'm somewhat worried if there are, let's say, 4,000 undergrads, that would be 40% of the undergraduate body. I'm not saying freshmen, but let's just say as a round number, 40% of all undergrads are living in West Philly, and they don't feel worried about getting COVID-19 because they're young and they don't think they're going to get really sick. If there's and people are going out and hooking up and gathering in large groups inside without wearing masks, I am really afraid, first of all, of what that is going to do to the kind of local population of West Philadelphia that lives there all year round, even when Penn isn't in session. And these are folks that tend to be a little bit poorer, more at risk, have less access to good health care. And I think that, look, right now the numbers in Philadelphia are pretty low, but you could imagine a large group of college students at Penn or Drexel or any of the other schools in Philly could actually change that. And not only spread it to each other, but to spread it to people living in West Philly and to the store clerks working at CVS or the grocery store that you go to. And not only could your sniffles turn into someone's hospitalization, but I also think that it's going to put Penn in a position where they have to crack down. And I think if there is again, I'm not an epidemiologist, and but I want to say this to you. It's like, If there are 500 or 700 infections in West Philly among Penn students, I don't know how long the university is going to let you stay without cracking down in some way, or isn't going to put you in some kind of more lockdown situation. So I just want to say to everyone who is coming to Philadelphia to please, please, please be safe and smart, and to understand that you're not just responsible for your own health, but for the experience of all the other people who are Penn students who might be living in West Philly, and for all the other local folks who live in West Philly. But for the person who messaged me up front, I just don't have any advice about whether it's worth it for you to come. In some ways, it might be really nice. In some ways, it might be really weird. And, you know, like it'll be one version of weird to be at home and have your freshman year start online, and another version of weird to start in West Philly in some kind of quasi lockdown version of things. So what I really want to say to the person who asked that is, just to try and look, I think if I'm being honest, like this stinks for us working for, like none of us chose to work for Hillel because of the amazing paychecks and stock options we get. We didn't choose to work for Hillel because we love being on Zoom calls and working from our home offices with my 3 delightful children. I love them, but I like to also leave them when I go to work sometimes so I can get things done. This is not the year that we wanted. And it is okay to own that, and we don't have to pretend that this is perfect. And at the same time, I just want to say that like we're in this together. Like you're not falling behind anybody else. There is no FOMO. Everyone is going to have a year this year that is not the year they wanted. That's not the fullest version of their lives. We're not going to grow in the same ways we wanted to grow. We're not going to have friendships in the exact ways we wanted to have friendships. And it's okay, right? It's not ideal, but like we will get through this. Like we're tough and we're smart and we're going to take care of each other. And whether you love Hillel or not, you are part of a community and an organizational network that is going to take better care of you and offer you more love than any other show in town. And that's a blessing. And in a world and in a year that won't be exactly what we wanted it to be, we're going to make it better than it ever could have been without each other. And I just, you know, my advice to everybody over and over again is like, just put one foot in front of the other and focus on the blessings you have. So, you know, there is no perfect answer to these decisions about where to live or how to approach this. You just kind of got to know that like it's one moment in time. And when life goes back to normal, there's going to be a huge and very rapid catch up. And all of the things you think you're missing out on that you'll never get back, you'll get them back. It'll be different, right? But you'll get them back. All the growth that you would go through and all the amazing social stuff that will happen in college, you'll get it. And if everyone missed their freshman year and the freshman year is a little bit upside down and backwards, the first year out of college, like a lot more people are going to find ways to like work less and have more social, like our society will find ways to rebalance this. So I don't want to say it's all good because I know this isn't exactly what anybody wants, but I also want to say that like together, we're going to find ways to get through it and to make sure that the minute it's safe, we're going to dive in all sorts of other ways to kind of make up for lost time. So there was a couple other questions here. If Penn opens in the spring, freshmen will have to live on campus, right? So this is the thing that Penn is saying today, which is if, let's say there is a vaccine, or I think one of the big, again, I don't know exactly, but I think one of the big issues is really good testing and really good contact tracing. So let's say Penn can figure that out and America can figure that out, where there's like amazing amounts of testing and contact tracing, and Penn opens the dorms in the spring. So at this point, they're saying that you will have to live on campus. I can imagine that if there are a lot of freshmen who already signed year-long leases, there's going to be a lot of negotiation there, pushback, but it might be something to think about where you may want to hedge your bets, and if you can force whoever you're trying to rent from to rent for a semester or a 6-month lease as opposed to a 12-month lease. It is something to kind of keep in mind. Great. Other questions? Okay. Here we go. So Tyler posted again about the NSO schedule starting on August 24th. Tyler and Ben are like amazingly smart and cool and fun, and they are not just planning great events, but are thinking about ways to really connect people so that you start meeting other freshmen. And Allie, who you met, who's the Hillel president, is awesome. She's got Campus Wired. Shira Silver, who's the other Hillel president, is awesome. Basically, everybody's awesome. And so we're here for you. And there are lots of good ways to get hooked in and hooked up and to make this year better and safer and happier. And so please just let us be part of that journey for you. And I promise we will not show up unwanted too often. So essentially, like if you ignore us, that's totally okay. We'll email you like every few months in a personal way just to check in. But it's not going to be more than that. We're not like showing up at your house being like, surprise, I'm going to get you involved in Hillel. It's just meant to make sure that each and every person gets the most personal kind of concierge service that they can get. And that because Hillel isn't a club or a synagogue or a JCC, it basically reinvents itself like every semester. And so if there isn't something there that you like, either start it or it'll be there next semester. And if there's something that you really don't like, it may die out in 6 months also. So you don't have to worry about that too much. But we're basically just trying to make sure that each and every student has the chance to connect with amazing people, amazing Jewish experiences, and amazing Jewish communities. And that we know that if you get one of those three things or all of those three things, that your Penn experience will be better, and God willing, your life experience will be better, because it will connect you with the things, the tools, the wisdom, and the relationships that will help propel you to greater and greater things through each phase of your life. So we look forward to welcoming you to Penn and connecting with you in all sorts of new and innovative ways. And just thank you for being here. And there's all of this stuff in the chat has been posted. We'll send out an email to everyone who registered, and you can email any staff or student leaders as well, and we'll be there for you. Last call for questions. And then if not, we'll hop off. Okay, thank you everyone. Be safe, travel safe, and we'll see you and connect with you soon.